Okay, today we're looking at some material from Unit 3-4 using algebra. We're looking at box 3D here, adding and subtracting polynomials. By the end of this lesson, we should be able to add and subtract polynomials. So first off, what the heck is a polynomial? Well, right here, I've got two examples of polynomials. 4x plus 3 and 7x plus 2 are both examples of polynomials. Remember, a polynomial was just a series of terms that were connected together with addition or subtraction. Okay? Now, last lesson we talked about the specific names that we have for polynomials. We classified them as monomials, binomials, and trinomials. 4x plus 3 and 7x plus 2 are both examples of what type of polynomial? Dante. They are binomials. Why are they binomials, Dante? Yeah, they have two terms. And when I've got them like this, I put brackets around them just to sort of indicate where one polynomial begins and the other one ends. So everything inside these brackets here is part of one polynomial, and everything inside those brackets there's a second polynomial. What we want to do today is we want to add these two polynomials. Okay? So here's our first example. So you want to put this down up at the top of the page. We want to do 4x plus 3 plus 7x plus 2. Okay. And the steps that we follow for adding polynomials are pretty straightforward. We just have the brackets there to let us know where one polynomial ends and the next one begins. When we're doing this addition, we don't really need those brackets there at all because we want to combine things from each polynomial together. So our first step is just to get rid of the brackets and write this as a series of terms. So we've got a 4x, we've got a positive 3, we've got a 7x. Now we don't see a sign on that 7x, so we assume that it is a positive 7x, and we've got a positive 2. And from here, we just want to do what we were doing in the last lesson. We want to identify our like terms, and we want to collect them together. So what are some like terms in here? Well, remember, like terms have the same variable with the same exponent. So, Aaron, 4x and 7x are like terms. And what else? The 3 and the 2 are like terms. And the way we did this last time was we moved them around. We moved them around so that the like terms were next to each other. So I wrote my 4x and my positive 7x. Remember that sign that's in front of the 7x stays with that term if I move it around. Put them next to each other. And then I put my positive 3 and my positive 2 next to each other. And then we just want to add them up. So 4x plus 7x gives us a total of 11x's. 3 plus 2 gives us a total of 5. So our answer here is 11x plus 5. Can we add the 11x and the 5 together? No, we can't, because these are not like terms. So this is as far as we can simplify it. And I'm just going to put a square around it, or a rectangle, sorry, to let us know that that is our final answer. Okay? So I've got two examples here on your page that we can try following these same rules. So our next one here, 2b squared minus 2b plus negative 4b squared minus 7b. I checked that what I am doing is I am doing addition. Okay? We're going to talk about what you do if you're doing subtraction between these polynomials in a few minutes, but if I'm doing addition, all I want to do is just get rid of these brackets. So I'll take this first polynomial and I'll write it as 2b squared minus 2b. My second one, I see a negative 4b squared, so I'll just write that as negative 4b squared. And then my last term is negative 7b. Okay, I'm just getting rid of those brackets. And this plus sign in between here kind of disappears as well when you do that. Okay, so basically I'm just writing this as a series of terms. Now I'm going to identify my like terms here. So what are some like terms in this expression that I've got right here, Nicole? Yep, 2b squared, negative 4b squared, and what else? Right. Okay. Then I'm going to rewrite this so that my like terms are next to each other. 2b squared and minus 4b squared are right next to each other. My negative 2b and my negative 7b are right next to each other. Okay. And then I'm going to combine my like terms together. All right. So if I have, remember, I'm just applying these, I'm just doing the operation it says to do on these coefficients. So if I've got 2b squared minus 4b squared, I'm going to have a b squared for sure. And then I'm just going to do 2 minus 4. 2 minus 4 gives me negative 2. What am I going to have over here? Negative 2b minus 7. I got to think to myself, negative 2 minus 7. I'm starting at negative 2. I'm making this smaller and smaller and smaller. Negative 9. Negative 9 what, Stephanie? Negative 9b. I still have to have that variable there. All right. So one last example here before we move on to subtraction here. Here I've got two 3-term polynomials that I'm adding together. What do we call a 3-term polynomial? Jackie? Trinomial. Okay? But we're going to do this exactly the same way. I'm just switching colors here so we can tell them apart. We're going to get rid of our brackets. So we have negative 2x squared minus 3x plus 7. And then from the second bracket, we have a negative 2x squared plus 4x plus 6. Okay. And then I'm going to look for my like terms here. I've got a negative 2x squared and a negative 2x squared. I've got a minus 3x and I've got a positive 4x. And then I've got this positive 7 and this positive 6. Let's put these things next to each other. So I will have negative 2x squared minus 2x squared minus 3x plus 4x. And I've run out of room here, so I'm just going to go down to the next line here. But you can probably squeeze it all on one line. I'm going to have a, no, I can squeeze it in there, positive 7 and a positive 6. Okay? And then we're going to connect them together. Okay? So try doing that addition on your own there, and let me know what you get. What'd you get? Right. Like that? Okay, yeah. Negative 2 minus 2 gives us negative 4, so we have negative 4x squared. Negative 3 plus 4 on our x's gives us, oh, wait, did I get this wrong? Negative 3 plus 4 gives us, is it going to be negative or positive 1? Positive 1. So this should be a positive right in there, and then 7 plus 6 gives us 13. Okay, and there we go. All right, so that is adding polynomials. Follows pretty nicely from what we did last time on collecting like terms. Okay, so we're all okay on this? Jim, you okay? All right. You look a little bored here. This is where it starts getting interesting, okay? So, subtracting polynomials. Let's take a look at this. It's very, very similar to adding polynomials. There's just one little catch here. Okay. Let's go back to the first two polynomials that we were working with. We started off working with, wait, I'll just take a little pause here for a second. Okay, subtracting polynomials. So let's go back to the first two polynomials that we started with, our two binomials 4x plus 3 and 7x plus 2. But this time, we want to subtract these two things. Now, one of the things that we talked about in the last lesson was we talked about the distributive property. And we said that if we saw something like negative 7x plus 2, okay, We didn't see a number out front, so we thought of this as negative 1, 7x plus 2. And then we could apply the distributive property. We could take this negative 1, multiply it by the 7x to get negative 7x. Take the negative 1, multiply it by the positive 2 to get negative 2. Okay? This is what we want to do when we're doing subtraction. We want to think of this subtraction sign as being a negative 1 that we are going to multiply by all of these terms in the second bracket. So that's this first step here. Apply the distributive property to the second bracket. And then we just go ahead and we collect our like terms. So if we do this, we're going to do, and sort of, we can take the negative, multiply it by the 7x, the negative 1, multiply it by the positive 2, and as we do that, we get rid of the brackets. So our first bracket stays exactly the same. It's still 4x plus 3. But when we do our negative 1 times 7x, we get negative 7x. Negative 1 times 2 gives us negative 2. Now we want to collect our like terms. So our like terms here are the 4x and the negative 7x. So 4x and negative 7x. 3 and negative 2. So I'm going to put the positive 3 and the negative 2 next to each other. And then I'm going to do my subtraction in this case. 4x minus 7x is negative 3x. 3 minus 2 is positive 1. So my answer, negative 3x plus 1. Okay. So this is the same as addition with that extra step where you apply that negative sign or apply that distributive property to everything in that second bracket. So let's just do another example here. A squared minus 2a minus negative a squared minus 2a. All right. So I first check, see what operation I'm doing. I'm doing subtraction. So I know I have to take that negative sign, or that negative 1, and multiply it by everything in the second bracket. So I'm going to keep my first bracket the same. A squared minus 2a, that just stays. A squared minus 2a. I've just gotten rid of those brackets. And now I'm going to do this multiplication. Okay, I'm going to take negative 1, multiply it by negative a squared. I've got a negative times a negative, so I'm going to end up with a positive. Positive a squared. Same thing for the next term. Negative times negative 2a is negative times a negative, so I'm going to end up with a positive 2a. And then I can collect my like terms together. A squared and a squared are like terms. So a squared plus a squared. Negative 2a and positive 2a are like terms, so I can put them next to each other, and then I can collect them. A squared plus a squared. I don't see any coefficient out front, so I assume that there's just a 1. So an a squared and another a squared gives me 2 a squareds. Negative 2a plus a, let's see, negative 2 plus 2 is just going to give me 0. So that's like 0a. But if we have 0 a's, it's like we have nothing there, so we don't even write that. So our final answer here is just 2a squared. Okay. Let's take a look at the next example here. Okay. Negative 2x squared minus 3x plus 7 minus negative 2x squared plus 4x plus 6. Okay. I look in between here, I see that I'm doing subtraction. Okay. So I know that I'm going to have to take this negative sign and apply it to everything in the second bracket. So first step, get rid of the brackets on the first one. Negative 2x squared minus 3x plus 7. What am I going to have after I do that multiplication in that second bracket? I want to take everything in that second bracket, multiply it by that negative. So what am I going to have for this first one here? What is that going to give me? Nicole? Positive 2x squared. Okay? Negative times a negative gives me a positive. Then I'm going to have a negative times positive 4x. What is that going to give me? Negative 4x. Then I'm going to do negative times positive 6. What is that going to give me? Negative 6. Okay. And now we're back to just identify our like terms and collect them together. So we're going to have our like terms are going to be negative 2x squared and 2x squared, negative 3x and negative 4x, and then 7 and negative 6. So I'm going to move them so that they're next to each other. Minus 3x minus 4x plus 7 minus 6. And then I can combine them together. Negative 2x plus 2x. Let's see, negative 2 plus 2 just gives me 0. So I'm not even going to write that. Negative 3x minus 4x. Negative 3 minus 4 is negative 7x. And 7 minus 6 is positive 1. Okay. Negative 7x plus 1. Okay. All right. Last example here. And then there's going to be some for you guys to try on your own. What if we have a whole bunch of polynomials, one after each other, that we want to subtract and add together? Okay? We do this exactly the same way. Okay? I should say almost exactly. We take our first one. Just get rid of the brackets. Okay? B squared minus 2. We look at our second one. What are we doing to our second bracket? We're doing subtraction. So we see that subtraction sign. We want to multiply it by everything inside that bracket. Okay? And just to the stuff in that one bracket that it's in front of. Okay? So our 3b becomes a negative 3b. Our negative 7 becomes a positive 7. We go on to the next one here. Now we're adding 4b squared plus b. So we just want to get rid of the brackets there. Plus 4b squared plus b. We come on to the next one, and we're doing subtraction again. So if we're doing subtraction again, we want to multiply that negative sign by each of those terms in that bracket. So that gives us a negative 6b and a positive 5. Okay, negative times negative gives us a positive there. And then we just want to track down our like terms and collect them together. And when you get good at working with the like terms, you can sort of skip this step where you move them around. So I can just say, I got a b squared and I got a plus 4b squared. I'm going to add those two, and they're going to give me 5b squared. I've got a negative 3b, a plus b, and a negative 6b. Those are all like terms. So negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2, minus 6 is negative 8b. My last like terms are going to be the negative 2 plus 7 plus 5. Negative 2 plus 7 is 5, plus another 5 is 10. Okay. And there's our answer. 5b squared minus 8b plus 10. Okay. And that's where we're going to stop.